Welcome, everybody, to the beautiful world of Don't Starve Together. This is going to be a simple walkthrough, playthrough, hopefully getting for a full year in Don't Starve Together to be able to see if we can show you guys how I managed to make it through. I've been asked quite a bit, can you do videos about Don't Starve Together? There's so many things about Don't Starve. However, not on how to make it through an entire year. So hopefully with what I'm able to do here for you guys, I'm going to be able to walk you through and show you my tricks on how I survive, especially through winter time, because I know winter's a big problem. One thing that I'm going to do in this one here possibly will be shortening the season, so things seem a little bit quicker when we're going through. The videos are going to be uncut. There's not going to be any editing or clipping or anything like that. So while we follow along, everything step by step you'll be able to see. I don't want to fast track anything and confuse anybody and make you guys believe that, in a matter of nine seconds, I gathered 400 twigs or anything like that. So we'll walk through it together. If we die together in the game, we die together. If we survive together. The first thing you need to know about Don't Starve Together is the options. Okay, so there's the browse the game options. First, before we even get into this, the difference between Don't Starve and Don't Starve Together are as follows. I have not played much Don't Starve myself. For example, Don't Starve is more of a single player aspect of the game, whereas Don't Starve Together is more multiplayer. Now, some people do choose to play Don't Starve Together single player, where they only do it solo. They play their solo world. They continue to do it like that, and that's sometimes what I end up doing as well too. However, most of the time, if you guys caught any of my streams, I'm always playing with other people. Now, Don't Starve and DST, big difference are the bosses are a lot different, mainly the fact that their HP is a lot more. So if you are playing Don't Starve Together and you're curious why everything's a little bit more difficult than before, it's because the bosses have been upped a little bit. And when I say a little bit, I mean a lot. They got to compensate for more people being in the game with you and bosses being a little bit more, more of a challenge, so to speak. So those are the big differences. So if you're jumping into DST for the very first time, you might want to take a step back and try Don't Starve story mode, which unfortunately we won't be doing. Maybe one day we will if these end up working out very well. So that is the difference between Don't Starve Together and regular Don't Starve. So first of all, entering into Don't Starve Together, you see an option, browse games. Pretty straightforward. You can browse other people's games, open worlds out there, stuff like that. My problem with this is sometimes for those of you who are just getting the game, you want to immediately start playing. You don't understand that browsing and joining some random game out there could happen and cause a few issues. One, it could be a world that somebody doesn't, necessarily want other people there, but they forgot to make a password. Two, it could be a great server. However, the resources could be, taken. So another thing is as well too is people always say, how come when I join a game and I browse for games, I always get griefed? Meaning, what is griefing? First of all, griefing would be you finally built a base, you get everything the way you want it, all of a sudden somebody runs around with a torch and burns it. These are things that deter people from going into random public servers, but there are good servers out there too. So don't always look at the negative side of things. There are servers that are heavy moderated. But if you are looking to browse for games, make sure that you don't really necessarily go there first. You might want to go there after when you find a few people to play with. Host game, pretty straightforward. You click on host game. You can go through your options and choose on all the game lists that you've ever wanted to be a part of. So as you can see on the left-hand side, I have more than the standard 5 spots. I have 50 spots because I have a mod that lets me do that, and we'll get into that in a second. So hosted games, you can host it for friends, you can host it for solo, and we'll get into those options in a second. Item collection, pretty straightforward. When you have skins in the games, whether you get skin drops from Twitch, whether you buy skins, you can go in there and equip them. Your regular options, these are the options that I play with. Let's walk through here. Obviously, I like mouse and keyboard. Vibration is disabled. I do not like it when I don't know if vibration is meant for the actual controller. Not too sure. I've always had that disabled. My sound effects, my music, and my ambient volume. There's a reason why these are set the way they are. Sound effects is always set to 1. Don't Starve, unfortunately, is a little bit more loud than I anticipate the first few times I played it. The music is great inside the game, so if you first, you might want to have that turned on, ambient volume, meaning any background noise that you might get when shadow monsters are walking around, and we'll explain that when time goes on. So these are my current settings, so if you want to take a moment to look at them and see if you like them, you can feel free to do that. HUD size is a big thing for me, making sure that the HUD is just the right amount of size on my screen, so it's not taking up too much and not taking up too less. Now, the one thing that I always like to have on here is lag compensation. Let's talk a little bit about lag compensation. One, if you're playing by yourself, predictive, in my opinion, is the way that I like to play. I know that most people turn it on to nothing because your character is meant. So if you're being attacked or attacking a boss or fighting a boss, the character movements might not look proper if you have lag compensation on predictive. Here's the thing though, if you have 144 hertz or 120 plus hertz monitor and you play with predictive mode on, it's going to look smooth. If you have it turned off, it's going to look like it's a little bit not so how it should be. Okay, and we'll talk. Maybe I'll get it if I get a chance. I'll show that on stream or on the video as well too. Distortion always turned off. Bloom turned off. Screen shake turned off. These are things that kind of bother my eyes when I'm playing. So I feel like if you do not like what happens when you're getting attacked by something, when a boss is about to show up, turning these off will get you in the position where you want to fight something. You're not going to have to worry about the screen vibrating on you and maybe hurting your eyes or anything like that. But I played about almost 2,000 hours, and after the first 100 hours, I decided to turn these off and disable them. Controls are pretty straightforward. I leave them all default, and then you have the cinematics options, which lets you roll the credits, etc., etc. Mods are a big thing for me. If you're looking for basic mods to go through, these are some of the ones that I always recommend. Don't Starve Together is very, very, very mod intensive, meaning that there's so many great mods out there. This game, in my opinion, is 50% gameplay and sometimes 50% mods. Some people might disagree, but honestly, those of you who have played DST for a very long time know that you cannot get started on Don't Starve Together without the proper mods. There's a reason behind this. I feel that the creators decided to, they made the game vanilla. They knew that chances are, if they made I feel like, in my opinion, I feel like the mod creators knew that, or Clay knew deep down inside that this game was going to be heavily modded, and it's a great thing that that it is, because it makes it such an even better game. I mean, Don't Starve Together by itself is amazing. Adding mods to it spices it up that next little level. So let's talk about the mods that I love the most. As I mentioned before, the 50 save slots, pretty straightforward. Go from 5 to 50. Why only have... Sometimes you're making so many different games and so many different worlds. It might cause when you actually go to host a game, it might cause it to have a little bit of a slight delay when you're making those games. But I'm telling you, a great mod. I recently just installed it as of pretty much this year, and it's a great mod. Victorian HUD, pretty much aesthetic. You don't have to have it, but it just adds a little bit of a spice to the game, makes it look a little bit nicer. Admin scoreboard. If you're looking to have items available, if you don't know much about console commands, this is a great tool to have enabled. So basically, if you are looking to kick somebody in your server or ban somebody, those options are obviously automatically there. But if you're looking to revive somebody or maybe make it so they're not going to die or give them God mode, you can do that with the admin scoreboard. Combined status. I'm going to go through these and I'm going to name off mods that are 100% go-to mods, meaning the mods that you should 100% have when you first start the game. Combined status mod. What this does is it takes all of your stats, combines them into one, makes it so much easier to be able to tell your sanity, your hunger, the days, the nights, the weather, all that stuff. I mean, not necessarily the weather, sorry, whether it's autumn, summer, spring, all that stuff. And some people do not like playing with these. Some people are very against mods, and that is completely understandable. Critter pet mute. This is something that you probably should not really enable necessarily right away. But this is definitely something that down the road, when you realize that your cat or your dog is not going to continue, it's your cat or your dog in this game is continue to make noise next to you, you're going to probably want to have this mod enabled. Geometric placement. When we get into the game, I'm going to show you this a little bit. You're going to be able to notice how much easier life is on the world of Don't Starve when you have geometric placement enabled. In my honest opinion, I have never played a game of Don't Starve Together that has never been better without geometric placement. When I first started playing DSD for maybe about 100 hours or so, I never played it with geometric placement. I was very worried about mods. Somebody finally took the time to talk me into it, and since then, I've loved it ever since. So geometric placement will basically help you align your base better, get in the habit of making everything a lot more close quarters, and we'll show you when we get into the world of Don't Starve. Gesture wheel, that is obviously pretty straightforward. If you have emotes in the game, you can go through the process of holding a hotkey that will let you automatically do that without having to type _angry or wave and stuff like that. The rest that I have down here are pretty much things that I don't necessarily always have. Minimap HUD, that's something that creates a minimap on the top right corner of your map of your screen. I do not like that myself. First person mod, that's just a fun mod. I do not play with that ever. Hamlet Fog Cloud, this is one that I just play with just for fun, but what I might end up doing is actually turning it off temporarily so we can get into the world of DST without it on. And Hamlet Color Cubes, once again, just another mod that makes things look different. Server-side mods, I'm not going to talk much about them, but I'm going to mention only the ones that I really enjoy for the server-side mod. There's obviously a lot that you see here, and you're going to go through and you're going to go, wow, this guy really has a lot of mods downloaded. I do, but I don't necessarily play with all of them. The ones that I do play when I'm hosting a server, Epic Health Bar. What this does is it makes it so when you're fighting a boss, you're 100% able to see what the health is at the very top. It makes it look nice, makes it look pretty, and it actually makes fighting bosses a little bit more interesting to be able to see that. Global positions. This is a must-have when you're playing with friends. If you play without it, you're not going to be able to see where people are on the map unless you do a few special things and Don't Starve together. So global positions is 100% my go-to mod on DST with friends. Now, scrolling down, there's not many others. Health Info I used to play with, but I'm going to show you a better mod that's better than Health Info. Once again, Less Hungry Critters, but this is a server-side mod, meaning anybody that connects to your world will be forced to not listen to cats or dogs barking or making meowing noises. Scrolling down, you're going to see different things like no grounded snow, no grass gecko, no thermal stone durability. These are mods that are completely optional, but no grounded snow will be enabled because for me, when I play Don't Starve Together, I love snow. I love how it is, but unfortunately, snow on the ground makes it harder to build stuff because you don't know how things look. You don't know how things are going to be. Also, sometimes people mention that their eyes cannot take how bright the snow is on the ground. So this is definitely, if you're one of these people that you play for hours and you're getting headaches in wintertime, this is a mod for you. No grounded snow. No grass gecko, completely optional. Will not be playing with this. No grass gecko, just will make it so the grass in the game does not force into becoming a grass gecko. And we'll talk about that when the time comes. No thermal stone durability. This mod has been a mod since I played with friends the first time I loaded up DST. And Don't Starve Together, there is a problem with the thermal stone. Not necessarily a problem. I believe it to be a problem. It doesn't make any sense to me. But a thermal stone is something that helps you keep warm during Don't Starve Together. And wintertime, you're going to have it on you. It's basically a rock that keeps you warm, that lets you walk away from your base without overheat or without getting too cold. The problem with the thermal stone is it goes bad over time. This doesn't necessarily make any sense to me. I understand why they put it in, but I feel like this should not be in the game, so I always have no thermal stone durability enabled. Something that I've had since I've started, and I've noticed that a lot of other people enjoy the mod and always play with it as well too. I don't believe that a huge circle-shaped rock should randomly just disappear or dwindle down to nothing when it gets heated up. But that's just me. There's a few other mods that you see here. I'm not going to go through and mention them. The Show Me mod is another 100% mod that you should have enabled. It'll tell you different creatures' HP. It'll tell you the amount of spoil time that you have on certain items. It'll tell you pretty much everything that you need to know about DST when you're in the game, just describing different things. So I will be enabling this, and I will be going through that mod when we're in there. Other than that, there's nothing else that I would really recommend that you must have. Wormhole Marks is another optional mod, but in this case, I will not have it enabled because I'm playing solo. And I want to be able to kind of go through the process with you guys. So Wormhole Marks, obviously, there's wormholes inside of the game. It will make the colors happen so you know which wormhole is which, and be able to tell which one you previously went through. Very helpful mod. Some people are against it, once again, because they find that you should not know and have to remember. But for those of you who don't want to spend the time to remember and want to know exactly where those wormholes are going to, wormhole markers are for you. All right, let's get into the world of DST. So first up, you're going to go to host game. This is going to make a game for yourself and or for other players to join. We want to talk about how we're going about doing this. Let's scroll down. So as you can see, I have many games already currently made. So we're going to go into, let's go into, where's the world that I'm at right now? It's an open world. It's the one that we're currently playing right now. Let's start a brand new one. So on slot 21. So first of all, you're going to see that there's multiple options here: social, cooperative, competitive, and madness. The server is a place for friendly chatter, a relaxed playstyle, and getting to know people. Everyone's welcome here. Cooperative surviving is more fun when you do it as a team. On the server, we want to work together and to do our best. These are labels of the server. So what that means is, if you have a thing that says madness, what you're doing is you're labeling the server. So for example, when people are browsing for your server, they're going to ask you questions, and they're going to say, you know, I'm looking for a server that their play style is cooperative. I want to be able to join in there. So that's all this is really just when somebody's browsing the server, if they want to highlight it as cooperative or madness or competitive, meaning PvP, then they want to be able to search through those, and it's really just a search thing. Next up is your name. What do you want to name your server? Description. This server is for YouTube. Okay, so that's all just your personal description. You can put on, I'm working towards a new boss, or I'm going to make it past winter, or whatever you like. The name of the server will automatically default to whatever your Steam name is, plus space world at the end of it, so people can easily find you. But if your name is long like mine, people are probably going to have a little bit of a harder time to find you. You can make it public, private, whatever you decide to do. In this world, I don't want to get ahead of myself just yet. Public, friends only, local only, or Steam group, okay? Pretty straightforward. If you want people to be able to join you, can click on this. Public, if you want anybody to be able to join you, you want to set it to that. Local only, meaning anybody that's within your network inside of your house. Or Steam group, meaning if you can want to make yourself a Steam group, anybody in that Steam group can join. Next up is survival, endless, and wilderness. What are the deal with these? Survival. If you die in survival, the game will 100% end. The game will say everyone in the server is dead. It's time to restart. Your ghost will appear, but unfortunately you won't have a chance to respawn unless you have a meat effigy that you've bound to. We'll explain that more. There's wilderness. When you die in the game, you are able to respawn in as any character on the character selection list once again. Some people don't like playing this like this. I sometimes do. My one and only is endless. Endless is the #1 perfect setting for any worlds, because people want to be able to die if they accidentally die, and be able to respawn. If you set the world to survival, don't worry. If you're playing with other people, you can still actually revive. It's not a problem. The problem is that if you are a ghost, everybody on the server will have a negative ghost icon that drains their sanity. Endless will not do that, and Endless will also give you the chance of respawning, finding different areas, stuff like that. Some people prefer to play survival. They feel like it's more so don't starve feeling. I know for me, I don't like doing that. I always like to play Endless. PvP, pretty straightforward. Or do you want to fight players? Yes, turn it on. Turn it off if you don't. Player size. Normal size is set to 6 people. Now, I have a mod. Sorry, not a mod. I edit the code that lets me put it to whatever size I want it to. You can have a mod that lets you put more people to 6. 6 is the default setting for most Don't Starve Together worlds. Why? You might wonder. Because Don't Starve Together is a game that is meant to not have not use too much RAM when it plays. Some people, if you go through the process and you install every mod possible and you click generate and your world crashes, there's a reason behind that. Don't Starve Together is not meant to support more than 4 gigs of RAM when loading its process, and unfortunately past that it will crash. We don't know if the Clay is eventually going to make this game 64-bit compatible. Hopefully in the future they will, which will then add more RAM possibility to the game, giving the game less chances of crashing. So 6 people is the recommended, but depending on your world size and depending on how many friends you have and depending on how much fun you want to have, you can set it to even more. The world's password, obviously pretty straightforward. I don't need to put a password on, but I'm just going to make a random password. I don't care about it right now. Obviously, if you want your friends to join in, you want to set a password and go through that. Now, setting up the world generation. So first up, there's the forest options. You can scroll down here and tap and go down to each one. I'm going to spend some time to explain a little bit of what I usually do. World Gen biomes, together, classic. Most of the time I leave it together. If you put it to classic, it will spawn different biomes how it used to be on regular Don't Starve. World Gen spawn area. Where do you want to spawn? Do you want it to be dark? Do you want it to be a plus? It'll basically give you options, and as you can see your world, your rules. For example, if you go up here to the forest presets, there's a thing, no giants here, meaning you're not going to have any issues with giants. Together plus, this is more a quicker start in a harsher world. More things that are going to attack you. Basically presets that Clays recommends to spice up the game a little bit. Lights out, 100% darkness, a dark twist on the standard Don't Starve experience. 100% darkness, obviously we're just going to go with default. We don't want to start out crazy. I want to show you guys some stuff. The world gen size. Basically, how big do you want the world to be? Do you want it to be large, which is default? Do you want it to be huge? Do you want it to be medium? Do you want it to be small? Completely up to you, depending on the size that you want. World gen branches. Branches. What are branches? Are branches from the trees? No, they're not from the trees. The branches are how the map style is. Imagine a map on here. Do you want it to be random? Do you want it to be default? Do you want it to be least? How far, for example, you have an area in the middle that you spawn in. How many branches of different biomes do you want to have? Do you want to have over here? There's a bunch over here. Do you want to have a bunch over here? Stuff like that. It's basically how your world gets spawned in. You can also look in the wiki on Don't Starve to find out exactly what settings you need to make your world generate in a certain area. World gen a loop. Basically your world, your rules. I believe I haven't played too much with the world gen loop, so I can't really elaborate on that too much. But once again, these are settings that I normally never change. Events. Do you want to have events in the game? For example, there's Hollowed Nights, there's Winter Feast, there's Year of the Pig. These are events that are you can choose to set up on the world yourself. For example, there's a current event called the Year of the Pigs that is going on. During the Year of the Pigs, there is a specific thing that you can do inside of the game where you can wrestle pigs. And now when you set it to auto, that means that it'll automatically assume whatever your current event is, well, Clay has going. You can decide to change this to Hollowed Nights, which will then give you the wintry feel. The wintry feel will give you obviously the Halloween feel to your server, give you all of those things back, and also Winter's Feast will give you that as well too. So you can have the experience of playing in a Christmas themed with Santa Claus showing up and all that other stuff. But once again, I always leave to autumn. Then you have the chances to choose your autumn settings, your winter settings, your spring settings, your summer settings, and kind of go through here. Do you want them to be long? Do you want the seasons to be short? We're going to leave them at default just for now. I might edit it just to kind of make the video seem a little bit quicker, so then that way you guys aren't watching me kind of go through an experience of super, super long winter. But I think for now, maybe we'll leave it default so people can play along. Starting season. What season would you like to start in? Do you want it to be easy and start in autumn? Do you want it to be hard and start in winter? Do you want it to be kind of a little bit more hard and start in spring? Or do you want it to be difficult and start in summer? Now, the big question here is, why would you want to start in anything other than autumn? If you are tired of DSD's starting season and you want to up the ante a little bit, that's why you would change it. Day type default, you want it to be a very long day, long dusk. These are all options that you can choose as well too. Then it goes down and it asks you how many different items you want in the game. I'm not going to go through each of these, but pretty straightforward. If you want to have more rain, if you want to have more frog rain, if you want to have wildfires. If you want to have more of anything in the game, you can set the rest to more. I won't go through individual animals because I don't want to spoil it for those people that are just starting out right now. I want to leave it pretty normal. A lot of people there are things in this game that a lot of people do not like. I will name 2 of them. One is disease. People do not like to have disease in the game because what happens is your crops will start to get infected, and once they do, then there's really no going back until you dig up that bush. So if you forget about it, that bush will then spread over. This is meant to be played in the game. I mostly leave it in there unless we're working on a mega base. Starting resource variety. There are 2 types of twigs in this game: twiggy bushes and twiggy trees. These are things that we'll hopefully be able to get a chance to see in this game. I'm going to set it to classic because I love playing on classic. Classic will make sure that you have twiggy bushes in the game, and that's what I want to see you guys try if you guys get a chance to, because I believe you'll like it a lot more. If you're starting out on DST and you end up having twiggy trees, that's not the end of the world. There are ways to survive with twiggy trees. Some people like it more. Just for me and my preference, I prefer to not have it. Next up, we're going to go into the caves. Now, caves are a big part of Don't Starve Together. In order to complete the world and be able to reset things and get all bonus items that you need to make things even spicier, you're going to want to have the caves enabled. Now, enabling the caves, people are asking, I don't understand. What do you mean the caves? Well, there's the above ground, which is the forest, which is what you're normally on. And then there's the caves, which you can actually go down under and explore into the ruins and defeat the final boss, which is the Fuel Weaver. And these are things that I'm not going to change anything of, because if you're starting out on DST, I'm going to leave this kind of a mystery. But once again, you have the same size generation. You have all the different items. You have all the different creatures. You have a lot of different settings that you can change down here that you can edit if need be. Next up is obviously your mod selections. Your client mods will always remain on. So I'm going to leave all of mine on. Things might look a little bit different on my screen, but that's because I have the ones that I currently have selected. I'm playing solo. If you're playing with other people, you're going to want to go back and think about the mods that I recommended before, but I'm going to go with the Show Me mod. I'm going to go with the No Thermal Stone Durability mod because I do not like Thermal Stone. I'm going to turn off the grounded snow. It will still snow. The snow will just not appear on the ground. I'm also going to enable... I think that might be it. Oh, sorry, the Epic Health Bar. Yes, the Epic Health Bar. So those are the ones that I usually install when I'm playing by myself. Helps out a ton. Now, the grounded snow, obviously the main reason why I'm turning it off is so then that way, if you guys are watching the stream, you're not going to be looking and be like, oh, wow, that's a lot of snow on the ground. How are you going to ever get any work done? Obviously, if I had it enabled, it wouldn't make any difference. It's just for aesthetically pleasing and not having to stare at snow the entire time. So that is it for our options. Now let's jump into our world of Don't Starve Together. We've already went through the process. We set the world to endless. We set it to local only, so only I can join in on this one. And we've set the players down to 1. Obviously, we don't want to have more than just myself join in. And we set the password and everything's ready to go. Let's generate our world. So now once your world is generated, the first thing you want to know is how and what do I need to do from here? And as soon as we jump in there, we'll talk about character selections and possibly which characters that I would recommend to start out with. And then in our next video, we'll actually begin to go through the process of starting our very first Don't Starve Together world together. If you would like, I'm going to try to choose a character that most people decide to start out with on Don't Starve Together. So that way it's more common for everybody to play with. But I'm also going to choose a character that I really enjoy. And this is a character that it takes a little bit to get used to, and I feel like some people might not enjoy playing them, but I feel that it would really help you out especially on the start of getting into Don't Starve Together. So first up, you have a few selections. You have Wilson. The gentleman scientist grows a magnificent beard. So in Don't Starve Together, his main perks are he grows a beard. What does a beard help you out with? It helps you out with warmth. If you are finding yourself always struggling with not having enough heat during the wintertime, Wilson is your main character for that. So Wilson can get you a nice beard. You can also use beard hair to make a meat effigy, which will let you respawn once you attune to it. It's basically a structure that stands there, and when you die, you have the option to respawn at the meat effigy. Very, very helpful. Wilson also doesn't have any negative perks, meaning that you're not going to walk around and have any issues with for example, sanity just randomly going down. So Wilson is kind of the character that most people decide to play with because people know Wilson. It's your number one character for Don't Starve Together. So Wilson's an okay character to start out with if you're very new to Don't Starve Together. Willow is resistant to fire damage. Very helpful. Can craft a reliable lighter and a cuddly bear. Can't keep warm when insane. So when she's insane, she will be very, very cold. So that's the downfall of Willow. I don't normally play Willow that often. Resistant to fire damage, meaning that if you are in the middle of a fire or if you're standing too close to the dragonfly and the dragonfly is about to hit you, these are things that you will be 100% resistance to if there's fire damage around. Also, if you're fighting Klaus and the Klaus deer decide to drop some fire on the ground, those are things that won't hurt you either. These might be things that you're like, what is he talking about? Klaus, D-Fly, all that stuff. These are things that, trust me, as we go through the game, you'll be able to see. Can craft a reliable lighter and a cuddly bear. Now, Bernie is a tiny bear that when she's insane will then cause the characters known as shadow creatures to attack Bernie instead of Willow. Until Bernie has pretty much no HP at the very end. Wolfgang, a character that I highly recommend, a starting character that can kind of help you get through your game, but also has a little bit of perks that I like and don't like. Grows stronger on a full belly. Is afraid of monsters and the dark. Sanity during Nightfall is not very good with Wolfgang. And also, when it comes to Wolfgang, you have 3 or 4 different things. You have when Wolfgang begins, when you first start to play Wolfgang, he's at like half hunger. So you need to feed Wolfgang in order to make him stronger. Wolfgang's the strongest at when he's 100% hungry, and then gets less bulky as he gets less hungry. So you can have wimpy Wolfgang, which doesn't hit for as much, where if you have strong Wolfgang, which hits for a lot more. So very helpful if you are a character that enjoys fighting bosses or just a character that has a lot of food and able to farm up a lot. Wolfgang might be the person for you. Wendy is a great starter character. We'll read through it here. Is haunted by her twin sister. This is a good thing, not a bad thing. Feels comfortable in the dark. Also good. Doesn't hit very hard. Not that bad. I'll explain why. It's haunted by her twin sister. Wendy has a sister known as Abigail that's a ghost that will follow you around when you do a certain thing in game that can almost act like a second player in your game. Now, people are asking questions, what do you mean a second player? It's a ghost that basically helps you attack things. So whatever you're attacking, Abigail will then attack with you. It's almost like having 2 people in the game with you, just you and a friend attacking, living together, all that stuff. Now, Wendy can revive Abigail. Once Abigail dies, you have to wait a period of time for the new flower to appear. These are things that you'll learn as well too. Feels comfortable in the dark. Obviously, in the darkness, her sanity is not going to go down as much. And doesn't hit very hard. She's a little bit nerfed when it comes to hitting, but she makes up for it having Abigail. WX78, a 100% robot character. Not a picky eater. Can eat anything that's rot or going bad or anything like that and will not have an issue with that. Is charged by lightning but damaged by water. When it rains, this character's HP will go down, and sanity as well too. But lightning will charge WX up, making him run faster. Can upgrade with gears. You can have WX have up to 400 HP if you eat enough gears in this game. Very, in my opinion, more of a medium to hardcore character to get into. If you're just starting DSD, I might not recommend WX. I tried him originally when I first started playing DSD back in the day, and I'm telling you, I found it very hard to get past springtime without an umbrella, and it might not be the best character to start out, but down the line in the game, once you get used to it, WX is a great character to play. Wickerbottom knows many things, self-publishes books, can't sleep, hates spoilage. Okay, so knows many things. What does that mean? It means that she can start out by already knowing the basic science machine stuff. So she's already able to actually build your basics on the game without requiring a science machine. Self-publishes books. She can create books in the game, which also ends up going through the process of giving you the ability to create lightning, to create tentacles, multiple different things. So she has the ability to. She's almost like a magic character in a way. Can't sleep. She cannot sleep in tents. Unfortunately, with Wickerbottom, she will not be able to go to sleep and she will not be able to regain sanity or HP doing that. So you have to find other ways in order to combat your sanity and your HP gain other than sleeping in a tent, if that's something for you. Woody, great character. Has a lovely axe, ... What does that mean? I'll explain in a second. And a terrible secret. I'll explain that as well, too. Celebrates Thanksgiving at the correct time. Very funny. That last little bit is just added in by Clay because, as you guys know, Clay is a Canadian company based out of Vancouver, and they just added that in because I'm Canadian as well, too. And, people always say things about American and Canadian Thanksgiving. What's the deal with that? Now, has a lovely axe. There's an axe called Lucy in the game. Now, she lets you chop. Of course, your name is Woody, and you're a lumberjack. You're going to be able to chop wood extra fast compared to any other character in the game. You also have an added lumberjack-specific thing attached to you as well, too. What is that? You have now a log meter. Your log meter goes up and down depending on how much you've been chopping wood, how much you've been doing different things, and you need to keep that log meter up in order to withstand your woody ability. If you let that go down or your sanity go down, you will then spawn into a werebeaver. A werebeaver sounds good. It also can be bad. Your werebeaver basically causes you to go into a state of trance where you're consistently at a whole new character in a sense. You can chop wood really fast. You can actually attack. As far as I know, I haven't played Woody that much. As far as I know, you can attack your friends if you'd like as well too. Pretty much anything around. It's not necessarily a character that you want to be running around attacking things with, but if you maintain your werebeaver-ness and you also maintain your woodiness a little bit, you'll be able to chop down an entire forest in a matter of time. Very good character to play. I've played Woody a few times. I can't elaborate too much on him because, as you know, I haven't played him that much. But be very careful playing this character because Woody can actually cause a little bit of a havoc early on if you don't know how to play him. So maybe a medium to hardcore character for me. Same with Wickerbottom as well too. Wes, one of the most characters that people always talk about and say Wes is best. You might have heard it in streams. Wes is best. Well, Wes is one of those characters that, in my opinion, is not necessarily hardcore mode, but definitely a hard character to play. The Silent. Can't talk, has trouble staying alive, practices balloonancy. Okay, well, what is this practicing balloonancy? What does that even mean? Well, Wes's only ability is he can craft balloons. Other than that, he can't talk, which means that he won't make any noise when hounds are about to show up. He also will not be able to hit very hard, and he also has issues with staying alive. Now, Wes's HP is not that bad. His hunger's not that bad, and his sanity's not that bad either. Wes is just one of those characters that doesn't really have any perks to him, and is more or less, if you've completed the world of Don't Starve Together and you want a little bit of a challenge, Wes is definitely your person to go to because he's kind of like your nerfed character that is, in a sense, never going to change because everyone wants Wes to stay the same because he's that character that people play and go, hey, I'm if you're doing a speed run or if you're fighting a boss, nobody wants to have Wes there. But once again, a cool character to play, but maybe more late game. Maxwell, the puppet master himself, is a dapper but frail, can split his mind into pieces. Was once the king of the world. Maxwell obviously seems different than all the rest, meaning his name starts with an M. However, that's not his true name, but still, Maxwell is the character that some people will play, once again, late game. Is a dapper but frail. So, Maxwell, max HP of 75 HP. Be very careful playing Maxwell. If you're starting out as Maxwell and you're wondering why you keep dying, Maxwell is not necessarily a character that you want to start out playing DST for the very first time. He can also have shadow creatures that help him out. He can have people help him mine, have him chop wood, and also help him attack. Very helpful if you're trying to demolish an entire area and get a lot of resources. So Maxwell is one of your characters that if you're starting out in the game, you can actually help people get a world started and have a ton of resources by just choosing this character alone. Now, Wigfrid. Wigfrid is a great starting character. Wigfrid excels in battle, absorbs the power of fallen foes, and only eats meat. Some people might wonder, how am I going to survive if all I can eat is meat? Wigfred's not necessarily a character that you should start playing, but it's a character that you should get to know. You start out with a battle helm and a battle spear and 4 meat in your inventory. Now, this will get you through probably a day or two in the game before you have to probably eat some of that meat. You could get more out of it, but ideally, you're going to want to try to find some meat in the game. Wigfred's only eating meat strategy doesn't get you very far if you're not very good at fighting. So, Wigfred's more of a character that you want to lean towards using if you're starting to play Don't Starve Together, but maybe not necessarily right away. Absorbs the power of fallen foes. What does that even mean? It means that when you attack another creature and you kill it, you will then gain you will then gain HP and sanity from doing so. So very, very helpful. She's one of those characters that the reason why I like playing Wigfred is because there's more to Wigfred than just that. And it takes a little bit to get used to her, but once you do, you're going to find yourself, as long as you have a few meatballs in your inventory, you're going to find yourself being able to do pretty much anything you want and Don't Starve Together. Next up is my one and only Weber. Is a monster, can befriend spiders, and grows a silky, smooth beard. Now, Weber's one of my favorite characters, and I'm going to explain why. When I first started playing Don't Starve Together, my number one character that I played it was Wilson. But as soon as I chose Weber, I knew what I wanted to play for the rest of the time in Don't Starve Together. So, he's obviously a spider boy. What does this mean? He can hang around spiders and not have an issue. So if you find yourself dying to spiders a lot in Don't Starve, you might want to try Weber out for a little while. The problem with Weber is he's consistently losing sanity. I don't know why. I can't really explain. I believe that just is one of his negative perks. So if you have a problem with sanity, you might want to try maybe playing somebody different. But other than that, Weber is a great character. You grow a beard as well too, similar to Wilson, not as powerful, but it's a silky beard. What can I do with silk? I can make a tent. As soon as you grow a full beard after 9 days, you can craft a lovely tent. This is very, very, very powerful. Obviously, by that time, if you're used to Don't Starve Together, you can probably make your own tent without having to shave your beard. But in my recommendation, this is a great thing to have. Silky beard can help. You can also make different things with silk. You can go around and catch, bugs with it. You can do different things. There's a lot of uses for silk. Weber's a great character, not nerfed at all, doesn't have higher attack power, but basically imagine playing Wilson in a spider form with a little bit less sanity over time, and you can also hang around spiders. So if you want to go around spiders, this is your character to do. Now, there's also some hidden things with Weber, which we'll get into if we do play him, called a spider war. You can actually take spiders and make them attack each other, creating a large spider war, which will get you a ton of resources, a crazy amount of resources. Very, very, very helpful. And I believe that this is a character that I'm going to try playing on this run. Now, Winona, the one and only, the character that recently got updated and the most recent change on Don't Starve Together. The Handy Woman is a skilled builder, gets 1 free hit from the dark, invents her own gadgets. The bottom part was just added fairly recently. Before this, Winona was only able to craft duct tape and basically craft really fast. Now she has the ability to do many other things. As a skilled builder, she gets to craft things very, very quick. She has the ability to get 1 free hit in the darkness, so Charlie will only hit her once, or only not hit her once, and then after that, she goes back to being hit like normally, like how everybody else is in the dark. So that can help you if you find yourself in the darkness and not knowing what to do. Invents her own gadgets. She's now able to craft quite a few things. A catapult. She's able to craft a generator, a generator. She's able to craft a spotlight. Many different things that Winona's able to do now where she was not able to do before. Now, is Winona a good starting character? Not bad at all. Winona's kind of one of those characters that I honestly think that if you are into Don't Starve Together, you might either want to choose Wilson or Winona for your starting character. Reason for this, no negative perks. The only thing about Winona is that when she's building, she builds very fast, so she uses added hunger. But she can eat whatever she wants. She doesn't have any restrictions like Wigfred. So I would definitely suggest if you are starting out on Don't Starve Together, your choices should be Wilson or Winona, because these are the two characters that you're not going to be struggling too much with to start out. You can also choose another character known as Wendy, as I mentioned before, to get yourself a friend to help you out with. But if you don't know how to do it, you're going to have an issue spawning in Abigail. Not to say it's a hard thing to do, but if you want to follow a few guides as we go along, you're going to be able to find it easier to play Wendy over time. Now, Weber obviously is going to be my choice today because I enjoy playing Weber, and I feel that Weber is a good character to get everybody else used to playing as well too. Normally in this run, I would choose Wigfrid, or if I wanted to go through the process of killing things and going all that. But you know, in this case, I believe that Weber is going to be my choice, so I can show everybody, you know, how easy Weber is to play. Now, Weber is obviously not the strongest character, so if your goal is to fight bosses or kill bosses or anything like that, you know, in another set of videos, we might do that. But what I want to do right now is just show you guys how to get through wintertime in an easy set. And obviously, you know, we're going to try our hardest to get through winter, so we want to have the easiest possible chance of doing that. We want to choose 1 to 2 characters that have beards to help us get that installation that we need. Wilson, great choice. And also Weber, because we're able to do a few things with Weber that we can't do with Wilson. So let's go ahead and choose Weber. Let's choose our character. And that is it for us today, guys. But I will be back on another video with more tutorial on how to survive on Don't Starve Together. So if you're interested in watching my videos, I'm going to be doing as many of these as I can, going through the process of surviving and Don't Starve Together. And I hope to see you guys in the next one, where we continue on actually going through and gathering resources and having a fun time and hopefully making it through the full 365, but not really 365 days, but the full year in Don't Starve Together. So I will see you guys in the next one, and I hope to see you soon. Bye, everybody.